Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, Chapter 102. When we last left our heroes, Ignia showed up. Natsu tried to challenge him, but he could do nothing. Which was certainly not just because Ignia can just, eat his flames, but also because Ignia is on a whole other level than really almost any threat Natsu has faced, at least solo. Maybe not quite Acnologia threat, but Natsu's, powered up with the power of 6 other Dragon Slayers at that point. Ignia's top-tier threat here is what I'm getting at. And Ignia shows that by just creating this whole explosion in the labyrinth. Natsu and Suzaku survive the explosion, but they end up, several levels down, and decide to form an alliance on the basis that Ignia threatens both of their friends, and they need to do whatever they can do to protect those friends. Celine also is heading into the labyrinth to deal with Ignia herself, which would lead to a whole, clusterfuck of shit going on there very soon, I imagine. Meanwhile, we come back to Lucy versus Kiria. As they're just going at each other, Kiria uses her blade magic to rip off all of Lucy's clothes, which, it is what it is. Thankfully, Lucy has her Star Dress abilities, gets cancers with the scissors, and ends up cutting Kiria's clothes herself, which is where we left off. I hope Kiria is not naked this whole fight. But yeah, that's where we are. So let's dive right on in Chapter 102, Woman-to-Woman Battle, which does seem to imply we're going to be staying with Lucy and Kiria here. Our cover here, though, is just really sweet. I love it so much. It's Gray and Juvia in the cockpit of a plane over, a modern city. It does not make a lick of sense in the world of Fairy Tail, but it is really cute. A long-awaited date with a view of the night sky, their hearts throb as they look down on the city. And they're just, not even shying away from, Gray and Juvia are all but together. They've been a little bit too busy for Gray to, solidify that. But they're together. And you love to see it. But anyway, we pick up right where we left off, with Kiria butt naked, covering her bits, as Lucy just grins, "Payback," and Kiria growls, "You little bitch!" And Lucy just taunts, "Come on, you wouldn't be caught dead looking like that, right? You can't fight anymore, can you? If you admit you lost, I could lend you some of my clothes." And Kiria just, is trembling now. "Don't look down on me!" And she fully unveils herself. Thank you to the sound effects for keeping this PG-13. "Like hell I'll give in if you see me like this! And there's no shame if there's only women around." And Lucy's just sort of stunned. She's back on the offensive. And Kiria goes on the attack. "I'll do it to you again and again. Do you know what happens when you make me mad?" And Laxus appears. I guess this is where he ended up. And he sees Kiria in the nude. And as Kiria said, there's no shame if there's only women around. That's no longer the case. And yeah, he's just kind of there, stunning both of them, but especially Kiria, as Kiria just screams, "Kya! Laxus!" Laxus goes over to Lucy. "Lucy, why is that chick naked?" And Lucy just sort of grins. I should have known a guy would show up." Lucy looks at her. "I do feel a little bad, though. Maybe we should do something." And Kiria, who... So, when we go back to last chapter, she had that bit about she only cares about powerful foes like Urza, Laxus, and Misaki. It's important, maybe is a thing to note that Laxus was the only man in that roundup. So maybe there is, she has some sort of strength-based, romantic attraction to Laxus or something. Anyway, Laxus walks towards her and just drapes his cloak over her, covering her up. Still gonna fight her, though, but, having some manners. Good for him. Makarov raised him well. And Laxus just looks away. Enemy or not, it hurts seeing you like that. And Kiria's just sort of taken, that blushing, she's at least a little attracted to him, which, fair enough. Laxus is a very good-looking man. I'll say that much. And Lucy just kind of, apologizes. "Sorry, I guess I went overboard." And Kiria just snaps, "Why are you apologizing to the enemy?" And then, with this cloak on, Kiria is just ready to go again. We're not done here. The real fight starts now. And Lucy's just, huh? You want another go? But she's more than happy for this. FYI, you don't even stand a 1% chance now that Laxus is here. And Kiria just sort of grins. Oh, he's strong. I know that real well. But this is a fight between women. So stay out of this, Laxus. So I forget, what exactly... I'm trying to remember exactly what happened in the cathedral back on what city was on top of Alderaan? The city in the cathedral on top of Alderaan. Because I remember Urza and Whiteout Laxus were fighting. And then, right, what ended up happening there was Laxus, they sort of had a draw, but Laxus was still conscious, right? And then Kiria came in, the Whiteout was undone, and Laxus thought that Kiria fought Urza? Is that it? It's been a couple years since then, so my memory of the exact what happened there is a little hazy. But I do think Kiria has fought Laxus before, she definitely has fought Laxus to some degree. Though I don't remember if that was a clear win or if Kiria ended up retreating or something. Anyway, this fight between women, stay out of this, Laxus. And Laxus turns to Lucy. What do you think? If you want to keep it one-on-one, I won't stop you, but... and Lucy, who at no point agreed to this being a fight between women or one-on-one or anything, just protests, don't want, definitely don't want. And Laxus sort of unbuttons his top button. Well, lady, that's how it's gonna be. I won't go easy on anyone who hurts my guild. And he is raring to go. That is a badass panel here. It's too early to say that will definitively be the thumbnail for the chapter, but it's a good contender. But Kiria just goes on the attack, uses her Blade Dragon magic, and Laxus freezes. And it looks like she did the same thing she did to Urza way back when. I cut it. And Lucy's just shocked. What? What did you do? I just cut his strength. Huh? And we see Laxus like clutching his head. And Kiria tells him, now kneel. And Laxus does. He is taken back the same way Urza was. And unlike Urza, he does not have the resistance to, He does not have the resistance to eye-based magic that Urza has thanks to the fake eye. So he just kneels. Ma'am. And Lucy's just shocked. What are you doing, Laxus? And then she remembers, this is the same magic she used on Urza. And she comments, it didn't work on Laxus last time. Said it's because he was weak. Okay. Again, I don't quite remember exactly how that fight went, so I can't really comment on that. But Kiria goes on, but that's not what happened. It was all just the White Wizard's magic that made it impossible. Heh, you're a real cutie, Laxus. And she goes to, like, pat Laxus's head, who just says, I humbly accept your praise. And Lucy's just stunned. I've never seen Laxus like this before. And she slams her foot in front of Laxus. Lick my feet. And Laxus goes for it. Ma'am. Lucy protests, don't you dare! And with that, she goes on the attack. That does it! How much do you love humiliating people like that? And Kiria tells her, it's the strong yielding before me. There's no greater sensation. And she just calls out, wait right there, Laxus. And Laxus just gives her a ma'am. And Kiria goes right back on I think she's still talking to Laxus here. I'm going to chop all your friends to pieces. And then Lucy just goes on the attack with the swords that Cancer Stardress gives her. And here I thought we had this in the bag the moment Laxus showed up. And Laxus calls, Kiria-san, when you cut my strength, you didn't mean my magic? And Lucy sort of like frustratedly puts the pieces together. So when she makes people weaker, she really just makes them more obedient, which is basically what we've known since the the Mercphobia arc. Why do I keep getting those two confused? It's been a recurring theme now for months. We have another real cool panel here, as Lucy goes on the attack with her two swords, and Kiria blocks them with her blade arm. And Kiria tells her, sorry, but my blade that cuts strength won't have any effect on small fries like you. And Lucy taunts back, who's the small fry who left you in your birthday suit? And Kiria's not happy for that reminder. and attacks with a Blade Dragon's Double Slash. And with that, she cuts the scissor blades, leaving Lucy much more defenseless than she was a minute ago. Cancer Scissors! And then with that, Kiria delivers a strong kick to Lucy, sending her flying back. Blade Dragon's Rending Slash! But Lucy has a much harder to break weapon in Fleuve d'Etoiles, the water whip that she throws at Kiria. But Kiria is still able to cut the water, and the cut goes straight across Lucy's chest. She falls, and Kiria's just taken this as her imminent victory. Lucy rolls, and Lucy thinks, I wasn't unprepared for her, but she's still so strong. I'll have to use skills on her level if I want to win, or else. Star Dress Mix, Leo Virgo form, and it's the same outfit she brought back at some point during the Alderaan arc. I think when she fought the Strauss siblings, if I'm not mistaken. Though again, that arc was about 2 years ago, so I don't quite remember the details exactly. But yeah, the Leo Virgo dress from back then. And Kiria goes on the attack with another blade, and Lucy crosses her hands. Light of Regulus, Brilliance of Spica, Leon Maiden! And she brings the light magic down on Kiria, but Kiria is undeterred. My blade cuts all magic apart. Blade Dragon's Overlord Sword! And she, slashes through the light, it looks like. And Lucy's just stunned. Huh? Die! And Lucy is shocked as that attack... Did that chop off her hand? This is Fairy Tail, so I wouldn't imagine something so brutal happening. But looking at Lucy's pose there, and she's fucked up. And ending the chapter, we see Laxus realizing that that's his friend getting cut down. Is how I'm translating that look. But so the way that Lucy's right arm is drawn, it's like it starts out going straight this way. And then this part seems to also be straight this way. It doesn't, maybe it's at a very steep angle or something, but that's not what my gut's telling me. It feels much more like this part of her arm was disconnected from this part, which is far more brutal than I expected to happen in Fairy Tail. That's also just a lot more blood than I expected in Fairy Tail. That's a brutal fucking panel right there. Yeah, that's just a lot. And that does seem to have brought Laxus back to his senses. Which, better late than never. Lucy's been cut to pieces. Yeah, there's a whole lot going on here. Stuff I like, stuff I'm, I'm glad that, this doesn't have the same kind of... Kiria's strength-cutting magic could very easily lean to the same BDSM vibes that sort of occasionally ties down Eden Zero. And I'm glad this scene doesn't really go that length. There's nothing really, a lot of it is the framing here. There's nothing really sexed up in any of these shots. Even looking... We have a quick flashback to when it happened to Urza. And in the two panels, we have the one on top, where, the high heel on Urza's head is, I guess, a thing people are into. And the larger panel is, Urza's butt is at, the front of the panel. That's kind of sexualized. And it's really not here with Laxus. And there's a conversation to be had about the way either Mashima or Ueda, whoever's in charge of the exact panel structure here, frames this sort of forced submission when it happens to a woman, when it happens to a man. But I'm in no way equipped to really have that conversation right now. It is something to think about, but it's not... I'm not really reviewing that earlier chapter right now. I'm just happy that this scene isn't so... It's just not as uncomfortably sexed up as it could be. And, even the nude Kiria scene doesn't really feel as sexed up as it could be. Again, I'm not really into women at all, but I can't imagine the bit with, Kiria's nipples and vagina covered by sound effect is, particularly arousing. But I don't know. What do I know? Anyway, there is still just a lot of good shit here. I'm hoping we get a real good Laxus fight next week, that Laxus has sort of broken free from Kiria's control after seeing Lucy like that. We almost got one here, and I fucking love that I won't go easy on anyone who hurts my guild panel. That's just a good fucking drawing right there. And also, the Lucy-Kiria fight is pretty fun, you know? Watching Lucy sort of try to think her way through Kiria's strategies. First she goes for her scissors that she sort of like still has out in part of her payback bit from last chapter. Then she goes for what should be a far harder to cut weapon with the fleuve d'étoiles, as it's like water. But unfortunately, she can still cut that. And then she goes for both a more powerful Star Dress mix, along with light-based magic that should be impossible to cut. But that does not stop the Blade Dragon Slayer, as Lucy is, taken out of the fight. She's in no way dead. This is Fairy Tail, Lucy's not dead. But, she's down for the count. And maybe missing one arm. And if she is missing that right arm, I think it's very important that she's missing the arm with her Fairy Tail guild mark. That seems important. I don't know. We'll see how all this plays out next time. All in all, it was a fun chapter. There's a lot of good shit here, and I cannot wait to see how all of this plays out next time. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!